Bear cub was tossed in a garbage truck. What this baby did was shocking. Let us know where you're watching from. If you love my content, consider supporting it with a super thanks. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe. It'll help us to remain in touch with amazing people like you. The morning mist hung low over Pine Valley, wrapping the small cabin in a gentle embrace. Olivia Mason sat on her porch, a steaming cup of tea warming her hands as she watched her 5-year-old daughter, Lily, playing near the edge of the yard. They had moved to this remote cabin only weeks ago, seeking peace after the accident that had taken her husband. The city had become too painful, too full of memories. Here, surrounded by towering pines and the soothing sounds of nature, Olivia hoped they could begin to heal. Lily crouched near a cluster of wildflowers, her small fingers carefully brushing their delicate petals. She had spoken very little since her father's death, as if the words had become trapped inside her. The doctors called it selective mutism, a response to trauma. They assured Olivia that with time and patience, Lily's voice would return. Until then, her daughter communicated through gestures, expressions, and the occasional whispered word when she thought no one was listening. "Stay where I can see you, sweetie," Olivia called, her voice carrying across the yard. Lily turned, acknowledging her mother with a small wave before returning to her exploration. The cabin stood at the end of a winding dirt road, the nearest neighbor almost a mile away. Behind the property, the forest stretched endlessly, a maze of ancient trees and hidden paths. Olivia had been warned about the wildlife, deer, foxes, and occasionally bears, that wandered down from the mountains in search of food. The local ranger had visited just yesterday, mentioning that a mother bear and her cub had been spotted in the area. "Just keep your distance and secure your trash," he had advised. "Bears are usually more afraid of you than you are of them." Olivia had nodded, making mental notes to be cautious. She glanced at the large metal trash container they had installed, specially designed to keep wildlife out. Better safe than sorry. A soft rustling from the tree line caught her attention. Olivia squinted, trying to make out shapes in the shadows between the trees. Probably just a squirrel or a bird, she thought. Then she saw Lily freeze, her head tilted to one side, as if listening to something Olivia couldn't hear. "Lily?" Olivia called, setting down her cup and rising from her chair. "What is it, honey?" Lily didn't respond. Instead, she took a cautious step toward the forest, her gaze fixed on something hidden from Olivia's view. A chill ran down Olivia's spine. She hurried across the yard, calling her daughter's name more urgently now. When she reached Lily, Olivia knelt beside her, following her daughter's unwavering stare. There, partially hidden behind a fallen log, was a small brown shape. At first, Olivia thought it was a dog, perhaps belonging to hikers or one of the distant neighbors, but as the shape shifted, revealing a rounded snout and small, alert ears, Olivia's breath caught in her throat. A bear cub, no larger than a medium-sized dog, was pawing at something on the ground. Its fur was a rich chocolate brown, its movements clumsy yet endearing. The cub hadn't noticed them yet, too focused on whatever had captured its interest. "We need to go inside now," Olivia whispered, gently taking Lily's hand. "Where there's a cub, the mother is never far." But Lily resisted, her small body tense. She pointed at the cub, then made a circular motion with her finger around her own face, a gesture she often used when trying to convey sadness or worry. Olivia looked more closely at the cub. It did seem distressed, making small whimpering sounds as it pawed at the ground. Something wasn't right. The cub paced in small circles, occasionally looking back into the forest and making plaintive cries. "It's looking for its mother," Olivia realized aloud. Lily nodded vigorously, tugging at Olivia's sleeve and pointing again at the cub. The message was clear even without words. We need to help. No, honey, we can't interfere. Wild animals. Olivia's explanation was cut short by a distant sound that made her blood run cold. The unmistakable rumble of an engine coming up the dirt road. The weekly garbage collection. Normally, Olivia would have greeted this sound with relief. Living so far from town meant accumulating trash for days. But now, with a distressed bear cub so close to their property, the timing couldn't have been worse. The cub's head jerked up at the sound, its small ears flattening against its head. It let out a frightened whine and began to move erratically, darting first toward the deeper forest, then back toward the cabin, clearly disoriented by the approaching noise. "We need to get inside," Olivia insisted, lifting Lily into her arms despite her daughter's protests. "The garbage truck will scare it away, back to its mother." As she carried Lily toward the cabin, Olivia glanced back at the cub. It had moved closer to their yard now, seeming to seek shelter from the growing noise. The rumble of the garbage truck grew louder, dust rising from the dirt road as it approached. Inside the cabin, Olivia set Lily down and locked the door behind them. Through the window, they watched as the large green truck came into view, its mechanical arm already extending toward their secure trash container. "See? Everything's fine," Olivia reassured her daughter. "The truck will take the trash and leave, and the cub will find its way back to—" Her words died in her throat as she watched the bear cub, panicked by the truck's noise, dart across their yard and scramble toward the one place it thought might offer protection. Their trash container. Before Olivia could process what was happening, the cub had somehow managed to squeeze itself through the small opening in the container's lid, disappearing inside just as the garbage truck's mechanical arm clamped onto it. "No!" Olivia gasped, pressing her hands against the window glass. Lily's eyes widened in horror as the mechanical arm lifted the container high into the air, the cub now trapped inside with their week's worth of garbage. In seconds, the container would be upended, its contents, including the frightened cub, dumped into the truck's crushing mechanism. Olivia ran for the door, but she knew she would be too late. The mechanical arm had already begun to tilt the container. In that moment of helpless terror, something extraordinary happened. Lily opened her mouth and screamed. It wasn't just any scream. It was the first sound Olivia had heard her daughter make in months, a primal, piercing cry that seemed to freeze time itself. The sound cut through the mechanical noise, through the morning air, straight to the garbage collector who had been operating the controls from inside the truck. The man's head snapped toward their cabin, his hand instinctively pulling back on the lever, halting the container's tilt mere seconds before it would have emptied into the truck. Lily broke away from Olivia's grasp and ran out the door, still screaming, pointing frantically at the suspended trash container. Olivia raced after her, waving her arms above her head. "Stop! Please stop!" she shouted to the garbage collector. "There's a bear cub in there!" The man's confused expression quickly turned to shock as he registered her words. He carefully lowered the container back to the ground and climbed out of his truck, approaching with caution. "A bear cub? In your trash?" he asked incredulously, keeping his distance from both the container and the frantic pair. "It crawled in just before you arrived," Olivia explained breathlessly. "It's scared, probably separated from its mother." The garbage collector, a weathered man named Frank who had worked these routes for decades, scratched his head. "Well, that's a first," he admitted. "Better call wildlife services. Can't just leave it in there, but can't exactly let it loose either." As they stood uncertain about what to do next, Lily tugged at Olivia's shirt, pointing urgently toward the forest. There, at the edge of the trees, stood a large brown shape. The mother bear had returned, drawn perhaps by her cub's earlier cries or by some instinctual knowledge that her baby was in danger. The atmosphere grew tense. The mother bear sniffed the air, her powerful body tense, eyes fixed on the human standing near the trash container that now imprisoned her cub. A low growl rumbled from her throat, audible even from that distance. "Nobody move," Frank whispered, his experienced eyes never leaving the bear. "She's agitated, but she won't charge if we don't provoke her." But Lily wasn't listening. Before anyone could stop her, she took a step forward, then another, moving slowly toward the trash container. "Lily, no!" Olivia hissed, terror gripping her heart. Her daughter was walking directly into the space between a mother bear and her trapped cub, a potentially deadly position. Yet something in Lily's manner, her slow, deliberate movements, kept both adults from rushing forward to grab her. The little girl approached the container with a strange calmness, as if she understood something the adults did not. When she reached the container, Lily placed her small hand against its metal side and made a soft humming sound. Not quite speech, but somehow soothing, almost musical. Then, to everyone's astonishment, she turned toward the mother bear and made the same sound, a little louder this time. The mother bear tilted her head, her aggressive stance softening almost imperceptibly. Lily hummed again, then pointed at the container, then back to the bear. A silent communication that transcended species. "She's telling the mother that her baby is in there," Olivia whispered in awe. Frank shook his head in disbelief. "I've seen a lot in these mountains, but never anything like this." Lily turned to the adults now, her expression serious beyond her years. She pointed at the container's lid, then mimicked opening it with her hands. "She wants us to let the cub out," Olivia translated. "That's crazy," Frank protested. "The moment we open that lid, either the cub attacks us in fear or the mother charges to protect it." But Lily's gaze was unwavering, her small face set with determination. She pointed again, more insistently this time. Something in her daughter's certainty moved Olivia. Perhaps it was maternal instinct recognizing another mother's distress, or perhaps it was simply faith in her child's inexplicable connection to the situation. Whatever it was, Olivia found herself nodding. "We need to try," she said quietly. "Frank, can you open it from a distance? Maybe with the truck's mechanism?" Frank looked between the bears and the humans, weighing the danger. Finally, he sighed. "Stand back, way back. I'll see what I can do." As Frank returned to his truck, Olivia pulled Lily several yards away, though her daughter resisted, seemingly unafraid. The mother bear remained at the forest's edge, watching intently but making no move to approach. With careful precision, Frank maneuvered the mechanical arm to grip the container again. Instead of lifting it, he used the arm's pincers to pull at the container's lid, creating a gap just wide enough for the cub to escape if it chose to. For several tense moments, nothing happened. Then, a small brown head poked out from the container, sniffing the air cautiously. The cub emerged slowly, its fur matted with bits of garbage but otherwise unharmed. It looked around in confusion, clearly frightened by the strange events of the morning. Lily made her humming sound again, louder now. The cub's head swiveled toward her, then toward its mother at the forest's edge. The mother bear made a soft, chuffing noise, a sound of recognition and call. Without further hesitation, the cub scrambled down from the container and ran toward its mother, stumbling once in its haste but quickly regaining its footing. When it reached her, the mother bear sniffed it thoroughly, as if checking for injuries, then gently nudged it toward the forest with her snout. Before disappearing into the trees, the mother bear paused. She turned her head toward the humans, her dark eyes finding Lily's. For a brief moment something passed between them, not understanding exactly, but a kind of acknowledgement, primal and profound. Then, with her cubs safely by her side, the mother bear turned and lumbered back into the forest. The pair soon swallowed by the shadows between the trees. The yard fell silent. Frank let out a long, shaky breath. 30 years collecting garbage in these mountains, and I've never seen anything like that. Never. Olivia knelt beside Lily, her heart still racing. "Are you okay, sweetie?" Lily turned to her mother, and for the first time in months a small smile bloomed on her face. She nodded, then opened her mouth. "Bear baby safe now," she whispered, her voice rusty from disuse but clear enough to bring tears to Olivia's eyes. Olivia pulled her daughter into a tight embrace, her tears falling freely now. "Yes, honey. The bear baby is safe, and so are you. So are we." As they held each other in the morning sun, the forest around them seemed to sigh with relief, as if nature itself had witnessed the small miracle that had unfolded in their yard. A frightened child finding her voice to save another mother's child, bridging the divide between human and wild in a moment of perfect understanding. Frank cleared his throat, wiping suspiciously at his own eyes. "Well, I should probably finish my route, though I doubt anything today will top this." He hesitated, then added, "You've got quite a special little girl there, ma'am." Olivia smiled through her tears. "I know." As Frank's truck rumbled away down the dirt road, Olivia and Lily remained on their porch, watching the forest where the bears had disappeared. Something had shifted between them, too. A new beginning in this place that had already brought them more healing than Olivia could have imagined. "Would you like to tell me about the bears?" Olivia asked gently, hardly daring to hope that her daughter's silence had truly broken. Lily looked up at her, eyes bright with the wonder of the morning's events. "The baby was scared," she said softly. "It just wanted its mama, like me." Olivia's heart swelled with love and understanding. "And you helped it find its way back." Lily nodded, resting her head against her mother's shoulder. "Sometimes," she whispered, "you just need someone to hear you, even when you can't say the words." As the morning sun climbed higher, warming the little cabin in the woods, Olivia held her daughter close, grateful for bear cubs and garbage trucks, and the mysterious ways that healing finds us when we least expect it. In saving the cub, Lily had found her own voice again, a voice that, like the whispers of the forest around them, had been there all along, waiting for the right moment to be heard. The days that followed brought a gradual transformation. Lily spoke more with each passing sunset, her words emerging like shy woodland creatures venturing into a clearing. First came simple phrases, then full sentences, until the cabin that had known only Olivia's solitary voice now rang with conversations, questions, and even occasional laughter. One evening, as they sat on the porch watching fireflies dance at the forest's edge, Lily suddenly asked, "Do you think they remember us?" "Who, sweetie?" Olivia asked, though she already knew the answer. "The bears," Lily said, her eyes searching the darkening trees. "The mama and her baby." Olivia smiled, stroking her daughter's hair. "I think animals remember kindness in their own way." Lily nodded, satisfied with this answer. Then she added, "I want to learn about them. All about bears and forests and animals." Something stirred in Olivia's heart, a sense of purpose she hadn't felt since before the accident. Her husband had been a wildlife biologist, his passion for nature one of the things she'd loved most about him. Now, hearing that same curiosity in her daughter's voice felt like a gift, a thread connecting past to future. "Then we'll learn together," she promised. The following week, they drove into town and returned with books on local wildlife, binoculars, and a camera with a powerful zoom lens. Lily insisted on a notebook, too. "For my research," she explained seriously, making Olivia's heart swell with pride and a touch of bittersweet remembrance. Her father would have loved this. They established a routine. Each morning, they would walk a little way into the forest, finding a comfortable spot to sit quietly and observe. Lily took her research very seriously, recording sightings of squirrels, birds, and deer in her notebook with careful, childish letters. Olivia taught her to identify animal tracks, to move quietly through underbrush, to respect the creatures whose home they were visiting. "Remember," she cautioned gently, "we're guests here. We watch, but we don't disturb." Lily absorbed everything with the sponge-like capacity of childhood, but Olivia noticed that her daughter's gaze often drifted toward the deeper parts of the forest, searching for a glimpse of brown fur. Though they occasionally saw bear tracks, the mother and cub remained elusive. "They're avoiding people," Olivia explained. "That's actually good. It means they're healthy, wild bears." Lily accepted this, though Olivia caught the flash of disappointment in her eyes. That night, as she tucked her daughter into bed, Lily whispered, "I just wanted to say thank you to them." The words lingered in Olivia's mind long after Lily had fallen asleep. Summer deepened, the forest growing lush and green around their cabin. Olivia found an unexpected peace in their new life, a rhythm that soothed the jagged edges of her grief. She began freelancing again, designing websites from her laptop, while Lily explored the yard or worked on her wildlife drawings at the kitchen table. In the evenings, they often sat on the porch, reading together or simply listening to the symphony of insects and night birds. It was during one such evening, nearly a month after the bear cub incident, that their fragile peace was disrupted. The sound of an engine, not the familiar rumble of Frank's garbage truck, but something smaller, faster, broke through the twilight calm. A moment later, headlights swept across the trees as a vehicle turned onto their long driveway. Olivia tensed. They rarely had visitors, especially unannounced ones. "Stay here," she told Lily, rising from her chair as a dusty pickup truck came into view. The truck stopped, and a man stepped out, tall, bearded, dressed in what appeared to be a ranger's uniform. He approached with an apologetic wave. "Sorry to bother you folks so late," he called. "I'm Carter Williams from Wildlife Services. Got a minute to talk?" Olivia relaxed slightly at the official identification but remained cautious. "What's this about?" Ranger Williams glanced around the property before answering. "We've had reports of unusual bear activity in this area. I'm checking with all the residents." "Unusual? How?" Olivia asked, aware of Lily moving to stand beside her, small fingers gripping the hem of her shirt. "A mother and cub pair that aren't showing normal avoidance patterns," he explained. "They've been spotted repeatedly near homes, particularly this one, according to our reports." Olivia frowned. "We haven't seen any bears near the cabin since—" She hesitated, glancing down at Lily. How much should she share about their experience? But Lily was already speaking, her voice clear and confident. "Since I helped the baby bear escape from the garbage truck. Has something happened to them?" Ranger Williams' eyebrows shot up. He looked between Olivia and Lily with new interest. "You're the folks Frank mentioned. The garbage collector told us quite a story, but honestly, we thought he might have been exaggerating." "He wasn't," Olivia said simply. The ranger crouched down to Lily's level. "What's your name, brave girl?" "Lily Mason," she answered, her chin lifting slightly. "And I wasn't brave. I just didn't want the baby to get hurt." A smile crinkled the corners of the ranger's eyes. Well, Lily Mason, you did something pretty special. Not many people can stay calm around bears, especially not little girls. Bears aren't scary if you understand them, Lily stated matter-of-factly. They're just mamas and babies trying to live like us. The ranger chuckled, glancing up at Olivia with impressed amusement before his expression grew more serious. That's a good way to think about it, but even animals we understand can be dangerous, which is why I'm here. He straightened, addressing both of them now. Those bears have been returning to human areas more frequently. We've spotted them within half a mile of this cabin several times this week. A chill ran through Olivia despite the warm evening. Are they looking for food? Should we be worried? Hard to say what they're looking for, the ranger admitted. But yes, you should be cautious. No food left outside, no bird feeders. Keep your distance if you spot them. He hesitated, then added reluctantly, if this pattern continues, we may have to relocate them. Relocate? Lily's voice rose sharply. You mean take them away from their home? Sometimes it's the safest option, Ranger Williams explained gently, for both the bears and the people. Lily's face crumpled. But this is their forest. They were here first. Olivia placed a steadying hand on her daughter's shoulder, feeling the tremors of emotion running through the small body. Is there anything we can do to prevent that? The ranger sighed. Just standard precautions. I'll leave you some information. He reached into his pocket and produced a pamphlet, which he handed to Olivia. And call this number if you see them, day or night. As he turned to leave, Lily suddenly called out, They're coming back for a reason. Maybe they're trying to say thank you. The ranger paused, a shadow of sympathy crossing his weathered face. Animals don't think like that, little one. They're just following instincts. With the tip of his hat, he climbed back into his truck and drove away, taillights soon swallowed by the darkness of the forest road. Lily stood rigid beside Olivia, small hands clenched into fists. He's wrong, she whispered fiercely. They do remember. I know they do. Olivia didn't argue. Instead, she guided her daughter back inside, where they went through their bedtime routine in unusual silence. When she tucked Lily in, the little girl's eyes were bright with unshed tears. We have to help them, Mom, she said, like before. Honey, the ranger knows what's best for... No. Lily cut her off with uncharacteristic firmness. They belong here, and they're trying to tell us something. Olivia sighed, smoothing back her daughter's hair. What makes you so sure? Lily was quiet for a long moment, her small face serious in the soft glow of the bedside lamp. Finally, she whispered, I can feel it. The same way I felt it when the baby was scared in the garbage, like a voice without words. The conviction in her daughter's eyes gave Olivia pause. Perhaps it was just a child's imagination, her empathy spinning into fantasy, or perhaps... Number. She shook her head slightly. Lily had been through trauma, was still processing grief. It was natural for her to form attachments, to create meaning where adults saw only coincidence. Try to sleep, sweetie, she said softly. Things will seem clearer in the morning. But sleep proved elusive for Olivia that night. She sat by the window long after Lily's breathing had deepened into slumber, watching the moonlit forest and turning the ranger's warning over in her mind. Were the bears really coming back specifically to their cabin? And if so, why? The rational part of her dismissed Lily's notion of gratitude or communication. Yet something about their encounter had been extraordinary. Not just Lily finding her voice, but the way the mother bear had looked at them before disappearing into the trees. There had been something in that gaze, something that had stayed with Olivia despite her attempts to explain it away. Eventually, fatigue overcame her racing thoughts, and she fell into a troubled sleep filled with dreams of running through endless trees, searching for something just beyond her reach. Morning broke with a heavy mist that clung to the treetops and swirled around the cabin like ghostly fingers. Olivia rose early, her body stiff from the uncomfortable position she'd fallen asleep in by the window. She made coffee and stepped onto the porch, inhaling the earthy scent of wet soil and pine. The forest looked different in the mist, closer somehow, more mysterious. As she sipped her coffee, a movement at the tree line caught her eye. She froze, mug halfway to her lips. A dark shape was emerging from the fog, moving with deliberate slowness toward the edge of their yard. Olivia's heart hammered against her ribs as the shape resolved into the unmistakable form of the mother bear, her powerful body tense, alert. Behind her followed the smaller form of the cub, now noticeably larger than when they'd last seen it. Olivia's first instinct was to rush inside, to wake Lily and call the ranger's number. But something, curiosity, fascination, or perhaps some echo of her daughter's certainty, kept her rooted to the spot. The bears stopped at the boundary where forest met yard, the mother's nose lifting to test the air. She must surely smell Olivia, must see her standing there. Yet she made no aggressive move. Instead, the bear lowered her massive head and nudged something on the ground with her snout, pushing it forward into the open. Squinting through the mist, Olivia could just make out a dark object lying in the grass. The bear nudged it again, then took a step back, her eyes fixed on Olivia with an intensity that sent shivers down her spine. "What are you doing?" Olivia whispered, though she knew the bear couldn't understand. As if in answer, the mother bear made a soft chuffing sound to her cub, who promptly sat down on its haunches, watching the proceedings with what almost looked like curiosity. The surreal scene was broken by the sound of the cabin door opening behind her. Olivia whirled around, her heart leaping into her throat. "Lily, go back inside." But Lily was already moving past her, descending the porch steps with the calm certainty of a sleepwalker. "They brought something," she said simply. "Lily, stop!" Olivia hissed, reaching for her daughter's arm but missing as Lily continued forward. The bears remained motionless, watching Lily's approach with what Olivia could only describe as expectation. The mother bear made no threatening movements, though her eyes never left the small human walking toward her. Olivia's entire body tensed, poised to rush forward and snatch her daughter away from danger. Yet something held her back, the same inexplicable trust that had guided them through their first encounter with these creatures. Lily stopped several yards from the bears, maintaining a respectful distance. She didn't speak, but made that same humming sound from before, a gentle vibration that seemed to hang in the misty air between species. The mother bear responded with another chuff, then looked pointedly at the object she had pushed forward. Lily followed her gaze, then slowly moved closer to examine it. "It's a honeycomb," she called back to Olivia, her voice tinged with wonder. "They brought us honey." Olivia's mind reeled. Bears bringing gifts. It defied everything she understood about wild animals. And yet the evidence was right before her eyes. Her daughter standing in the morning mist, a mother bear and her cub watching patiently as she discovered their offering. "Come back now, Lily," she called, her voice steady despite her racing heart. To her relief, Lily obeyed, backing away slowly before turning to walk back to the porch. The bears remained where they were, watching. Once Lily was safely beside her, Olivia found her voice. "Why would they bring honey?" Lily's face shone with vindication. "They're saying thank you. I told you they remembered." Before Olivia could respond, something even more astonishing happened. The mother bear raised her head and made a series of sounds, not growls or roars, but something more deliberate, almost like speech. Then, with a final look at the humans, she turned and ambled back into the forest, her cub following closely behind. They stood in stunned silence until the bears had disappeared completely into the mist. "Did that really just happen?" Olivia whispered, half to herself. Lily nodded solemnly. "They're trying to tell us something more, something important." She looked up at her mother, eyes bright with purpose, "and we need to understand what it is." Olivia stared at the honeycomb lying in the dew-wet grass, evidence of an encounter that challenged everything she thought she knew about the natural world. Whatever was happening between her daughter and these bears went beyond ordinary explanation. And deep in her heart, a voice that sounded remarkably like her late husband's whispered that some mysteries of nature were meant to be embraced rather than explained away. "All right," she said finally, kneeling to meet her daughter's determined gaze. "Let's figure this out together." Little did she know that the honeycomb was just the beginning, the first thread in a tapestry of connection that would weave their lives with the forest in ways she could never have imagined, and that would soon draw them into a struggle that would test not only their newfound bond with the bears, but their very understanding of the boundary between human and wild. The ranger's truck returned that afternoon, this time accompanied by another vehicle, larger, official-looking, with the Department of Wildlife Management logo emblazoned on its side. Olivia watched from the window as 3 people emerged: Ranger Williams, a woman in a similar uniform, and a man in civilian clothes carrying what appeared to be sophisticated camera equipment. "They're here about the bears," Lily said, appearing at her side. It wasn't a question. Olivia nodded, uneasiness settling in her stomach. "Stay inside while I talk to them." But when she opened the door to greet the visitors, Lily slipped out behind her, quiet as a shadow. Ranger Williams approached with a wave that seemed more tense than friendly. "Miss Mason, sorry to bother you again, but we've got a situation developing." The woman stepped forward, extending her hand. "Dr. Elena Vasquez, wildlife biologist. Thank you for allowing us onto your property." Olivia shook her hand, noting the firm grip and assessing gaze. "I wasn't aware I had a choice," she replied, unable to keep a touch of defensiveness from her voice. Dr. Vasquez's smile tightened slightly. "Technically you do, but given the circumstances, cooperation is strongly advised." "What circumstances?" Olivia asked, even as she felt Lily press against her side. Ranger Williams glanced at the man with the camera, who had begun setting up what Olivia now recognized as motion-activated trail cameras. "We've been tracking the bear pair since early this morning. Their behavior is unusual." "Unprecedented, actually," Dr. Vasquez interjected, her professional demeanor slipping to reveal genuine scientific excitement. "We've documented them making deliberate approaches to human dwellings, specifically your cabin, carrying objects." Olivia felt Lily's fingers tighten on her jeans. "Objects?" "Food items, primarily," the biologist confirmed. "Berries, a fish, and most recently, a honeycomb." She tilted her head, studying Olivia's reaction. "You've seen them, haven't you?" Before Olivia could decide how to respond, Lily spoke up. "They're gifts," she said firmly. "They're saying thank you because we saved the baby." The adult's attention shifted to the little girl. Dr. Vasquez crouched down, her expression a careful blend of scientific interest and gentle skepticism. "That's a lovely thought, sweetie. What's your name?" "Lily Mason," she answered, her chin lifting in that now familiar gesture of determination. "And it's not just a thought. It's what's happening." Dr. Vasquez exchanged a glance with Ranger Williams. "Your daughter has quite an imagination," she said to Olivia, though her tone suggested she was cataloging more than dismissing Lily's words. "She was the one who saved the cub," Olivia explained, placing a protective hand on Lily's shoulder. "There was an incident with the garbage collection." "Yes, we've heard about that," Dr. Vasquez interrupted, rising to her full height. Frank gave us quite the detailed account. We initially attributed it to exaggeration, but our observations today suggest there may be more to the story. She pulled a tablet from her bag and tapped the screen. "Would you mind telling us exactly what happened from your perspective?" Olivia hesitated, suddenly aware of the potential consequences of their story. Would admitting their interaction with the bears somehow endanger the animals? Lead to their relocation, as the ranger had warned? Lily had no such reservations. "The baby bear was scared and got into our trash," she began, her voice clear and confident. "The garbage man almost dumped it into the crusher, but I screamed and he stopped." Her small hands moved expressively as she spoke. "Then the mama bear came, and she was worried, but I showed her that her baby was in the trash. We opened it, and the baby ran back to her." She paused, then added with absolute conviction, "They looked at us before they left. They knew we helped them." Dr. Vasquez was taking notes, her expression carefully neutral. "And today? Did they approach you again?" Lily nodded eagerly. "They brought us honey, and the mama made sounds like she was trying to talk." At this, the biologist's professional mask slipped again, revealing naked fascination. "Vocalizations? What kind exactly?" "Elna," Ranger Williams cautioned, "let's not get ahead of ourselves." Dr. Vasquez straightened, composing her features. "Of course. Miss Mason, the behavior you and your daughter are describing is highly abnormal for black bears. In fact, if verified, it would represent a significant case study in interspecies interaction." "What does that mean for the bears?" Olivia asked directly. "Are you still planning to relocate them?" "That depends on our assessment of the situation," Ranger Williams answered. "If they're habituated to humans, approaching residences deliberately—" "They're not dangerous," Lily interrupted, a tremor in her voice. "They're trying to communicate." Dr. Vasquez regarded the child with growing interest. "Communication across species boundaries is extremely rare, especially with large predators." She hesitated, then added more gently, "But we're here to observe, not to make immediate decisions. The cameras will help us gather data." The third visitor approached, having finished setting up several cameras around the property's perimeter. "All units are active," he reported. "Motion and heat sensors are calibrated for large mammals." "Thank you, Jim." Dr. Vasquez turned back to Olivia. "We'll need access to review the footage daily, and we'd like you to log any encounters, no matter how brief." She handed Olivia a small notebook. "Date, time, behavior, any objects they might bring, everything you observe." "So, we're part of your study now?" Olivia asked, unsure whether to be concerned or intrigued. "You're integral to it," the biologist confirmed, a hint of enthusiasm breaking through her professional veneer. "Whatever is happening here is unprecedented. Your cooperation could help us understand—" "Could help you decide whether to take them away," Lily cut in, her voice small but fierce. Dr. Vasquez met the child's challenging gaze. "Science doesn't begin with conclusions, Lily. It begins with questions. And right now, your bears are raising fascinating ones." As the officials prepared to leave, Dr. Vasquez lingered, watching Lily with undisguised curiosity. "Your daughter has a remarkable connection with these animals," she observed quietly to Olivia. "Has she always been so attuned to wildlife?" Olivia considered the question, thinking back to their life before the accident, before grief had stolen Lily's voice. "She's always loved animals," she said carefully. "But this is different. Special." The biologist nodded thoughtfully. Special indeed. She handed Olivia a card with her personal number. "Call me directly if anything significant happens, day or night." After the officials had gone, Olivia and Lily stood on the porch, watching the dust settle on the driveway. The honeycomb still lay in the yard, untouched. "They're going to take them away," Lily said, her voice thick with unshed tears. "They don't understand." Olivia knelt beside her daughter, struck by the strange reversal of their roles, Lily so certain, herself so full of doubt. "The biologist seems interested in understanding. That's a good sign." Lily shook her head. "She wants to study us like we're in a zoo. But this is—" She struggled for words, her face scrunching with the effort. "This is something special, private." Olivia was surprised by her daughter's perception. "What do you think we should do?" Lily looked toward the forest, her expression solemn beyond her years. "We need to understand first, before they try to explain it all away." She turned back to her mother, eyes bright with purpose. "Can we go into the forest?" To find them? Every maternal instinct screamed against the idea of deliberately seeking out wild bears, no matter how seemingly gentle their previous encounters had been. And yet, hadn't they already crossed a boundary? Weren't they already entangled in something extraordinary? "Not today," Olivia said finally. "Let's start with the honeycomb. That's a message we can try to understand right here." Lily considered this, then nodded in agreement. Together, they ventured into the yard to retrieve the bear's gift. The honeycomb was larger than it had appeared from a distance, a golden architectural marvel still dripping with amber sweetness. Olivia found a large plate in the kitchen, and they placed the honeycomb on it, setting it on the table between them like a sacred object. "Why honey?" Olivia wondered aloud. Lily traced the hexagonal patterns with a careful finger. "It's their favorite food, the best thing they know." She looked up, her expression suddenly illuminated with understanding. "It's like when you give someone you love your last piece of chocolate. You're giving them the thing you want most." The simple wisdom in her daughter's words caught Olivia off guard. "That's actually a beautiful interpretation." "It means they trust us," Lily continued, warming to her analysis. "And maybe—" she hesitated, chewing her lip. "Maybe they need our help again." Olivia frowned. "What makes you think that?" "The way the mama bear looked at us, and those sounds she made. It wasn't just thank you." Lily's eyes grew distant, remembering. "It was like when you're trying to tell someone something really important but they don't speak your language." A chill ran down Olivia's spine despite the warm afternoon. Her daughter's intuition had already proven extraordinary once. Could she be right again? "If they do need help," she said carefully, "what could it possibly be? And how would we know?" Lily didn't answer immediately. She stared at the honeycomb, her expression concentrated, as if it might contain coded messages. Finally, she said, "We have to listen better. Not just with our ears." That night, after Lily had gone to bed, Olivia sat at her computer, the glow of the screen illuminating her troubled face. She had spent hours researching bear behavior, finding nothing that explained what they were experiencing. Bears bringing gifts? Bears attempting communication with humans? The scientific literature was silent on such possibilities. On impulse, she opened a new search window and typed, "Wildlife biologist Mason Bear research." Her late husband's academic profile appeared, along with links to his published papers. Thomas Mason had specialized in predator-prey relationships, not bear behavior specifically, but his work had always emphasized the intelligence and adaptability of apex predators. She clicked through his papers, scanning for anything that might help her understand their current situation. Nothing seemed directly applicable, but reading his words, his precise, passionate descriptions of the natural world, brought both comfort and an ache of loss. Would he have believed Lily's interpretation, or would he have sought a scientific explanation, as Dr. Vasquez was doing? A notification pinged on her screen, an email from the biologist herself, requesting a follow-up interview tomorrow. Attached were several night vision images captured by the trail cameras showing the mother bear and cub at the forest's edge, looking toward the cabin with what appeared to be purposeful attention. Olivia stared at the images, a strange mixture of wonder and unease settling over her. They were being watched, studied, both by the scientists and, it seemed, by the bears themselves. What were they all looking for? Sleep, when it finally came, was filled with dreams of honey-gold light, and her husband's voice whispering from between the trees. Listen, not just with your ears. She woke before dawn, pulled from sleep by a sound she couldn't immediately identify. Olivia lay still, orienting herself in the darkness, when she heard it again, a soft tap against glass. Slipping from bed, she moved to the window and peered out into the pre-dawn gloom. The yard was empty, the forest a wall of shadow beyond. Perhaps a branch or pine cone had struck the window. Then she saw it. A dark shape moving near the porch, too small to be the mother bear. The cub was alone, standing on its hind legs to reach something on the porch railing. Olivia hurried to the front door, her heart pounding. The bears had never approached the cabin itself before, and never had the cub come without its mother. Something was wrong. She opened the door cautiously, stepping onto the porch. The cub dropped to all fours, backing away but not fleeing. In the dim light, Olivia could see it was agitated, pacing in small circles and making distressed sounds. "Where's your mother?" Olivia whispered, scanning the tree line. The cub made a soft whining noise, then moved toward the forest before stopping and looking back at her. When Olivia didn't follow, it repeated the movement. Forward, then back. Its intention unmistakable. A cold realization settled in her chest. The cub wanted her to follow it. "Mom!" Lily's voice came from behind her. "What's happening?" Olivia turned to find her daughter in the doorway, hair tousled from sleep but eyes alert. "The cub is here alone. I think something's wrong with the mother bear." Lily pushed past her without hesitation, moving toward the distressed cub. "We have to help," she said, with the same certainty she'd shown during the garbage truck incident. "Lily, wait," Olivia began, but her daughter was already halfway across the yard, following the cub as it retreated toward the forest. Dawn was just breaking, casting enough light to see by as Olivia hurried after them. She caught up to Lily at the forest's edge, grabbing her hand. "We need to be careful," she warned. "If the mother is injured, she could be dangerous." Lily looked up at her, face solemn. "She won't hurt us. She's asking for help." The cub waded a few yards into the trees, making impatient sounds. When it saw they were following, it moved deeper into the forest, stopping occasionally to ensure they were still behind. Olivia kept a tight hold on Lily's hand as they followed, every sense heightened. The forest was waking around them, birds calling, insects humming, the scent of pine and earth filling the air. Under normal circumstances, it would have been beautiful. Now, it felt fraught with unseen danger. They walked for nearly 20 minutes, moving steadily uphill. Olivia was about to suggest turning back when the cub suddenly increased its pace, disappearing over a small rise. Lily tugged forward, but Olivia held firm. "Let me go first," she insisted. They crested the rise together and stopped short at the sight before them. In a small clearing lay the mother bear, her massive body unnaturally still. From this distance, Olivia couldn't tell if she was breathing. The cub rushed to its mother, nudging her with its snout and making pitiful sounds. "She's hurt," Lily whispered, her hand tightening in Olivia's. Taking a careful step forward, Olivia tried to assess the situation. The mother bear's flank rose and fell with shallow breaths, alive but clearly in distress. As they moved closer, Olivia saw the cause. The bear's hind leg was caught in a metal trap, its cruel teeth digging into flesh. "A trap," she gasped. "But hunting isn't allowed in this area." "Poachers," Lily said, the word falling from her lips with unexpected knowledge. At Olivia's surprised look, she added, "Dad told me about them. People who kill animals for money." The mention of Thomas sent a pang through Olivia's heart, but she pushed it aside, focusing on the immediate crisis. The mother bear's eyes were open now, watching their approach with what looked like exhaustion rather than aggression. "We need to help her," Lily said, moving forward. Olivia pulled her back. "Honey, we can't just walk up to an injured predator. And that trap, I don't know how to open it safely. But we have to try." Lily's voice rose with distress. "She came to us because she knows we can help." The conviction in her daughter's voice gave Olivia pause. Was it possible? Had the bear deliberately sent its cub to fetch them? The rational part of her mind rejected the idea, but the evidence was hard to dismiss. The gifts, the cub's deliberate guidance, the fact that the mother bear wasn't showing any aggression despite their proximity to her injured state. "We need help," Olivia decided, pulling out her phone. No signal, as she'd feared. "We have to go back and call Dr. Vasquez." "No," Lily cried. "They'll take her away, and the people who did this might come back." The cub looked up at Lily's outburst, then returned to nudging its mother, whose eyes never left the humans. Olivia knelt to her daughter's level. "Lily, I understand you want to help them yourself. But this is beyond us. The biologist has equipment, medicine, things we need." Tears welled in Lily's eyes. "Promise they won't take her away. Promise." "I can't promise that," Olivia said honestly. "But I can promise we'll do everything possible to help her." Lily looked back at the bears, her small face crumpled with worry. Then, surprising Olivia, she walked forward until she was just a few feet from the injured animal. The mother bear watched but made no threatening move. "We're going to get help," Lily said to the bear, as if it could understand every word. "Stay strong. Don't give up." Then she made that humming sound again, the one that seemed to bridge the gap between human and animal. The mother bear blinked slowly, then made a soft chuffing sound in response. "She understands," Lily said, returning to Olivia's side. "Let's hurry." They made their way back through the awakening forest much faster than they had come, Olivia leading the way, with Lily close behind. The sun had fully risen by the time they reached the cabin, casting long shadows across the yard. Olivia rushed inside for her phone, dialing Dr. Vasquez's number with shaking fingers. The biologist answered on the second ring. "Dr. Vasquez, it's Olivia Mason. We need your help immediately. The mother bear is injured, caught in a trap in the forest behind our cabin." There was a short silence, then, "How did you find this out, Miss Mason?" Olivia hesitated, aware of how incredible the truth would sound. "The cub came to our cabin at dawn," she said finally. "It led us to the mother." Another pause, longer this time. "The cub came to your cabin," Dr. Vasquez repeated, her scientific skepticism evident even through the phone. "Deliberately?" "Yes," Olivia confirmed, impatience rising. Doctor, I know how it sounds, but right now what matters is that there's an injured bear in a poacher's trap, and she needs help immediately. This practical concern seemed to shift the biologist's focus. You're right. Where exactly is she located? Olivia described the location as best she could, mentioning landmarks they had passed. Dr. Vasquez listened intently, then said, "Stay at your cabin. We'll be there in 20 minutes. Do not return to the bear." As she hung up, Olivia turned to find Lily already putting on her hiking boots. "What are you doing?" she asked, though she already knew the answer. "Going back to them," Lily said simply. "She's scared and hurting. She shouldn't be alone." Dr. Vasquez said to stay here. Lily looked up, her eyes reflecting a wisdom far beyond her years. "The scientists don't understand yet, but we do." She finished tying her laces and stood. "You can stay if you want." The quiet certainty in her daughter's voice stirred something in Olivia, a memory of Thomas saying almost those exact words before heading into the wilderness for his research. "The data doesn't understand yet, but I do." "Wait," she said, grabbing her own boots. "I'm coming with you." They were halfway back to the clearing when they heard vehicles arriving at the cabin behind them. Too late to turn back now. They pressed on, moving as quickly and quietly as the forest allowed. When they reached the small rise overlooking the clearing, Olivia pulled Lily down into a crouch. "Let's watch for a moment," she whispered. The scene below had changed. The mother bear was still trapped, but now more alert, her head raised as she scanned the forest around her. The cub paced nervously nearby, and there, partially hidden behind a large tree at the opposite side of the clearing, was a human figure. Olivia's breath caught. A poacher returned to claim his prize. The figure shifted, and she glimpsed camouflage clothing and something that glinted in the morning light. A rifle. "Someone's there," she breathed, pulling Lily closer. "We need to go back, get the rangers." But at that moment the cub spotted them and made a soft noise of recognition. The mother bear's gaze swung toward them, and the hidden figure turned sharply, rifle raising. "Get down!" Olivia pulled Lily to the ground as a shot cracked through the morning air, splintering bark from a tree just above them. The mother bear roared in response to the gunshot, a sound of pain and fury that seemed to shake the very ground. The cub darted into the underbrush, disappearing from view. "Run!" Olivia urged, pushing Lily back the way they had come. But her daughter resisted. "We can't leave them," Lily cried, her voice rising with desperation. Another shot rang out, and the mother bear's roar turned to a whimper. Fury surged through Olivia, overtaking her fear. Without stopping to consider the danger, she stood and shouted at the top of her lungs. "Hey, stop! Rangers are on their way!" The figure behind the tree froze, then darted away through the trees, moving with the practiced ease of someone familiar with the forest. 3 months later, the forest around the Mason cabin was transformed by autumn, the trees blazing with gold and crimson as if celebrating the miraculous events of that summer. Olivia sat on the porch, watching as Lily stood at the forest's edge, her small figure silhouetted against the riot of color. The media frenzy had finally died down. After the initial explosion of interest, wildlife experts, television crews, even calls from book publishers wanting Lily's story, life had gradually returned to a new kind of normal. Dr. Vasquez had been instrumental in managing the public interest, redirecting attention from the Bear Whisperer to the groundbreaking research her connection with the bears had inspired. The Bears of Pine Valley, Reconsidering Predator-Human Relationships, had been published in 3 major scientific journals, with Thomas Mason receiving posthumous credit alongside Dr. Vasquez, and, at Olivia's insistence, Lily herself. The paper had sparked controversy in some circles, but had already begun shifting conservation policies across the country. The poaching ring had been dismantled, its members facing federal charges. Their arrests had revealed a network spanning 3 states, responsible for the deaths of dozens of protected predators. The case had drawn national attention, strengthening wildlife protection laws and enforcement. But most miraculous of all was what awaited Lily at the forest's edge. Aurora and Ember emerged from the trees, moving with the quiet confidence of wild creatures on familiar ground. The mother bear's wounds had healed completely, leaving only silver scars in her dark fur to mark her ordeal. She had grown sleek and strong during her recovery, while Ember had nearly doubled in size, no longer the frightened cub of their first meeting. Dr. Vasquez had kept her promise, releasing the bears back into their home territory once Aurora was fully healed. The decision had been controversial within the wildlife management community, but the biologist had stood firm, insisting that this case required new thinking, new approaches. "They're returning to their natural behaviors," she had reported during her weekly monitoring visits. "Foraging, denning, avoiding other humans, all positive signs. But their connection with Lily remains unique." That connection was on display now as Lily raised her hand in greeting. Aurora replied with a soft chuff, a sound that Olivia had come to recognize as a greeting reserved only for them. Ember bounded forward playfully before his mother rumbled a warning, reminding him to maintain the respectful distance they had established. No touching, no feeding, no encroachment on wild behaviors. These were the rules Dr. Vasquez had set for their ongoing interactions, and Lily had accepted them with mature understanding. The goal was not to domesticate these magnificent creatures, but to honor the extraordinary bridge of communication they had formed. "They're going to den soon," Lily announced as she returned to the porch, her cheeks flushed with the autumn chill and the joy of the encounter. "Aurora says the winter will be cold, but their den is deep and safe." Olivia smiled, no longer questioning how her daughter knew such things. "Did you tell them we'll watch over the forest while they sleep?" Lily nodded, climbing onto the porch swing beside her mother. "They already know. That's why they came to say goodbye until spring." She leaned against Olivia's side, suddenly looking very much like the small child she still was. "Do you think Dad would be proud of what we discovered?" Olivia wrapped an arm around her daughter, watching as the bears disappeared back into the trees, returning to their wild home. "He would be beyond proud," she whispered, her throat tight with emotion. "He always believed there was more to these animals than most people understood. But what you've shown the world goes beyond even his dreams." From the cabin behind them came the sound of the phone ringing. Likely Dr. Vasquez with updates on the new educational center being built on the edge of the state park. The Pine Valley Predator Communication Research Center would open next spring, dedicated to studying and teaching the complex relationships between humans and wildlife that Lily and the bears had revealed. Olivia made no move to answer it yet, content to share this moment with her daughter as the afternoon sun gilded the forest in golden light. "They gave us back so much more than we gave them," Lily said softly, her gaze still on the spot where the bears had vanished. Olivia nodded, understanding the profound truth in her daughter's words. In saving the bears, they had found healing for their own wounds. Lily's voice, Olivia's grief, their fractured sense of belonging in the world. And beyond their personal healing, they had opened a door to a new understanding of the wild creatures with whom humans shared the earth. The forest that had once seemed merely a refuge from pain had become a place of connection, of wonder, of extraordinary possibility. Through a child's compassion and a mother's courage, the ancient boundary between human and wild had softened, revealing a deeper truth, that all living beings were connected in ways science was only beginning to understand. As twilight descended on the little cabin in the woods, Olivia held her daughter close, grateful for bear cubs and garbage trucks and the mysterious ways that healing finds us when we least expect it. For in saving the bears, they had discovered something precious and rare, a whisper of understanding between species, a bridge across the divide, and the profound certainty that love, in all its forms, was the greatest wilderness of all.